Durability was one of the driving factors for this product. We went with a reinforced spoke bed. So we've changed the design of the rim extrusion on the rear rim a little bit to add a bit more reinforcement to the spoke bed. We've gone back to a dual flange design. We saw that by using dual flanges, we're able to better distribute the load of the structure out over the entire wheel. So now you don't have what's called pulling spokes, which are these spokes on the drive side. You don't have them isolated to only one side of the wheel. Now you're actually distributing that pulling load over two sides of the wheel. So by doing that, we could actually reduce the spoke count by 4 spokes on the rear wheel. It's now a 20-hole rear wheel, but we have 10 pulling spokes, and now that load is distributed over the entire rear hub of the wheel. So we get quite a bit more rotational stiffness, better load distribution. Because of the drilling pattern that we put in the hub flanges, we're able to actually go to a single crossing. There's 2 things that come out of that. One, on these wheels we don't need to weave the spokes anymore. Now they can just go past each other. So if you can notice here, the spokes aren't actually touching in there. The advantage of that is that now we've got a much wider bracing angle, because this spoke is not being pulled inside by this spoke. So you get a much wider bracing angle, again, adding stiffness to the structure. Also, what that does is it allows us to remove about 5 millimeters out of the spoke, and when you're looking at 20 spokes, it's a few grams. Something kind of cool about this wheel is that we worked with our supplier and actually have our spoke supplier. We actually have a 3.6 millimeter wide bladed spoke. This is made out of 14 gauge wire. It's not a heavier gauge wire, and this is about as wide as you can manipulate the material. We didn't lose any cross section, so in the middle of the spoke, the width is still the same. All of the Race X Lite hub shells are completely forged now prior to machining, so the advantage there is that when you forge aluminum, instead of just the machined raw billet, you get a certain amount of grain structure. So all of the grains at an atomic level are aligned such that they're resisting perpendicular loads the best. You'll notice that there is some additional machining, not only the holes through the flange, but some additional machining here. It's really clear on the Race Lite because it contrasted with the aluminum in the black anodizing of the hub shell, so it's really clear on this wheel. There's 2 things that came out of doing that. One, you get this really cool looking design on the hub shell, and 2, we're actually able to optimize, and I've talked about it in past Trek years, about how we really look at how we can optimize the material and the use of the material so that we're using it where it needs to be, and where it doesn't need to be, we can remove it. And we've been very successful with the Rhythm mountain bike wheels, for instance, and I think we're going to have the same success here. With the Bontrager name, on top of focusing as a lightweight product, we're also focusing on durability. Well, the durability now I've talked about. Dual flanges, increased pulling spokes, forged hubs, wider bracing angle. So all of this adds up to a more durable wheel. But now how much does it weigh? Well, the average weight on the Race X Lite for this year is going to be 1,525 grams. That's about 10 to 15 grams, well, 10 grams lighter than our biggest competitors' advertised weight, and close to 35 grams lighter than that same wheel, than that advertised competitor's wheel's actual weight. So it's a very lightweight wheel. It's very strong. You should feel very comfortable putting bigger guys on it. I'm 200 pounds. I've been riding a set daily and no problems. The Race Lite, this wheel comes in at 1,670 grams. This one, if you look at our biggest competitor's product, Their wheel at this price point, $599, is, I think it's almost 70 grams heavier. So it's definitely best in class, and they both look fabulous. The bike basically in a frame. We fix the wheel at the bottom like it would be on the road, and then we measure deflection up here at the brake. Well, over here at the brake, to say what we're trying to achieve or what we're trying to accomplish is if the wheel is fixed on the road, like if you're sitting on the bike and fixed in the dropouts like it's in the dropouts, how much deflection can we get up here? That annoying little, it's the group sprint, or you're just standing out of the pedals to go over a hill and the rim just knocks into the brake pad a little bit. So we wanted to measure that. We looked at, again, going back to what I was talking about earlier, by optimally locating the outer spokes and the pulling spokes on the outside of the hub flanges and not weaving them, we're actually able to achieve a much greater lateral stiffness. As a matter of fact, we are on par with our biggest competitors' wheel at this price point, which would be the Mavic Cerium SL. So we've got the same lateral stiffness. We don't lose any of the renowned Bontrager ride quality. The Race X Lite hub remain the same. It's a different color, but it's still 240 based. We actually went now with the dual flanges. We're using J-bend spokes on both sides of the wheel. Locking Pro-Lock alloy nipples. Now, granted, they're red. They're a little more difficult to find, but it's a 14-gauge nipple, so in a pinch, you've probably got a part laying around your shop. Same goes for the Race Lite wheel set. The internals remain the same, granted different color, but functionally the same. So all of our replacement parts don't change here.